Okay, today we're going to have a review on how to add and subtract mixed numbers. And I'm going to work two problems for you. The first one is going to be an addition problem, and the second one is going to be subtraction. So let's take a look at the addition problem here. You have 12 1/8 plus 2 1/8. Now the first thing you always do when you're doing any kind of fraction operation is you look at the numbers first. So what we have over here is a fraction that has the same denominator. So you know that we're not going to have to be looking for a common denominator. We'll cover that in another lesson. But at this moment we have 12 1/8 plus 2 1/8. So you look at the fractions and you see that there's the same denominator for both, and we're going to add the top numbers, the numerator, together. So that's going to be 2/8. And then what we're going to do is we add the whole numbers. There's 12 plus 2, so you just do a simple addition here. 2 plus 2 is 4, and then you have 1. So the answer here so far is 14 2/8. But the 2/8 reduces. And so when you do math with fractions, you're going to be required to reduce to the lowest terms. So we're going to 2 evenly divides into these, so that's going to be 2 into this 2, and that's 1. And then 2 goes into 8 4 times. So your final answer for this is going to be 14 1/4. Now let's move over to the subtraction problem. And this one's going to be a little more complicated because what I said to you was you look at the denominators, but then you look at the numerators. And here you have a numerator on top that's smaller than the numerator on the bottom. So what you do there? Well, you have to do one thing that you do in regular subtraction. When the number up top is smaller than the one on the bottom, you go and you borrow. So what you do here is you borrow from the whole number, and that becomes 5. Now because you've borrowed that number, you can add that to this top fraction. So what you do is you add the 6 plus 2, and that gives you 8. So now what you do, you see, now you have 8/6. Now that's an improper fraction, but we'll cover that another time too. 8 minus 5 is what? 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 3, 6. But now you have 5 minus 1, and that's going to be 4. Now remember, when you're trying to lower these to the lowest terms, you look at the top number and the bottom. And one of the rules I've regularly taught is if that top number is exactly half of the bottom number, then that's a fraction that means 1/2. Because 3 is half of 6, you're going to have 1/2. So the answer here is 4 1/2. So next time we're going to cover how to compare fractions, and that's going to require us to do some common denominator work. But that's all for now.